issue of challenges in youth getting into agriculture are multifaceted. As you know, even in junior high school, if we were asked about the problems in agriculture, we will list a lot of things. We will list about problems with inputs, acquisition of inputs. We will list about tools and equipment that sometimes unavailable or lacking, not being at the disposal of young people to get into farming. So we have to still rely on the backbending nature of the agriculture, which makes them uninterested. And the fact that there's not enough marketing opportunities for young people to sort of market their produce. They've experienced it. They know that their mothers and fathers, their grandparents' involvement in agriculture have yielded little fruits. If they are not doing cocoa or any other cash crop that is easily exported, it becomes a problem. And if you are dealing with cash crops, especially the consumables that are 18 and you want to go into commercial, it becomes a problem. You can't take a loan because the banks cannot guarantee that you take a loan with this. They don't usually give loans to agriculture initiatives. Things are changing a little bit now, but it still has to do with a lot more of those problems and challenges that we are all aware of. Well, I think because the challenges are multifaceted, and some of them has to do with tools and equipment, research, having the technical services backbone, and even having the knowledge to shift into the new paradigm of conservation agriculture, which is less expensive, but implies a lot of using natural means of conserving the moisture content in the soil, and also ensuring that there's adequate control of weeds and management per se of the field. And so they will need all of these things at Agro. They will need research institutions to be responsive enough, and that's expensive at assessing the knowledge. So agriculture initiative should be integrated, and integrated in the sense that it should tackle the issues of technical services, tackle the issues of conserving moisture content in the soil, so that at least the effects of climate change and the effects of the prospects of yield would accrue to farmers. And the issue of also the value chain, improving the value chain so that marketing services are there. People can take their produce straight to the farm. They can access the right inputs and at the right time. And also they can access information on environmental factors as part of the technical services, so that they know when to grow what at what time. Well, I think that in the colonial period, we were still doing our subsistence agriculture. The colonialists were mostly concerned about how to get the cash crops out. So something like cocoa, how they can build railways to go into the cocoa growing area and catch those produce out. How they can cut timber out, how they can cut other cash crops out. And so I started to believe that there were a lot of young people involved in farming on commercial quantities. Besides this, helping their parents and help a few others also into bigger farms. I'm not sure agriculture initiatives then for youth, but coming forward after independence, when Sadeko Dr. Kwame Nkrumah took over, he made sure that young people go into farming. So he established state farms. So if you go to Lonchi, which is not far from Kumasi, you have the Brana area, which is a state farm there. And if you go to address the Kumasi in Ashanti region and other places, you could see that there were other state farms that were ostensibly catering for the feeding needs and also producing some for export and to feed our growing industries there, which was set up by Osage, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So fast forward from there, and you come to the various military governments and a champion era, which overthrew the Busia government, and he also came up with an innovative policy, which is Operation Feed Yourself. And so everybody was, however, involved in farming at some point. And so you had, like, if you go to my own and neighborhood where I grew up at North Central, just suburb here in Kumasi, everyone had a farm. We all had a farm at our backyards, and I could also sense that in most of the state housing company estates, they also had backyard gardens, because there were some land left at the back of the yard. So if you go to Boko, if you go to Palaso Estates, if you go to South Central, North Central, all these areas, they had backyard gardens and other places. And so people could easily produce vegetables, fruits, and to feed their families. I think along the line, the concept died down a little bit because people started using, improving their infrastructure. They had larger families, so there was a need to provide more rooms in those estates, which normally had 2-bedroom houses and a kitchen and a hall. And so there was a need to expand as families were expanding. So the backyard gardens suffered a crisis in terms of expansion of housing infrastructure by individuals and families who wanted to, who were expanding their families. So I think it died down a little bit, and into the 80s when Jerry John Rawlings came in, and there I think his focus more was on the cash crop. The cash crop had died down a little bit, so he was mobilizing university students to go and do some farming, try and bring up our production levels in cocoa. And at that time, we didn't have money, a lot of foreign exchange to bring in, for instance, boats and mats to fix the trucks that will go and cut the cocoa and from the hinterland into the cities for them to be processed and sent outside. And so what happened was that it forced one magazine to respond. At that time, the Technology Consultancy Center of Honorable University of Science and Technology had been working with at the Swan magazine. One, Dr. Power, had worked with the Technology Consultancy Center at TED, through the College of Engineering. They had established at Swan magazine an intermediary technology transfer unit. So there, they easily responded and started molding boats and mats to respond to the shortage in the market. And so some custom lathes were brought into the system from the UK and into the workshops of the ITTU of TCC. And basically all they were doing was giving these guys training, these guys in the informal sector, training and introducing manufacturing into some magazine. Hitherto, some magazine have been doing repair work and doing a lot more of blacksmithing, goldsmithing, and spare parts dealers who had been moved from the city center had moved into the present side of some magazine because the present side used to serve as an armory. In English, a magazine could be referred to as an armory. So the present side became Swami in a neighborhood that is closer. So it became Swami magazine. So if you say it in English, it could be Swami armory, but it maintained that name. But that was a turning point in Ghana's history and the history of artisanal engineering, because now they were moved into manufacturing. They were manufacturing boats and mats to feed an industry that was suffering from the fact that we didn't have enough money to bring in these boats and mats. And so it led to growing of the sector, growing of manufacturing, especially in the informal sector. and in the Ghanaian informal economy. And so what the Kwame University of Science and Technology through the TCC did then for them was to entrench the program and have a lot more of the lathes and other machines that could be given out on hire purchase scheme to the artisans who have been trained to use them. And so it sparked a new era of how university and artisan or informal sector collaboration. So hitherto, the university has been seen as an ivory tower at Tech. People could pass by and see the lush area, the greenery are there, but people did not associate with it. The same concept was used in beekeeping, beehive keeping, and other industries like kente weaving. They introduced the trade from kente weaver and other things, and it sort of that collaboration sort of enhanced the way agriculture was done and the prospects in the area of tools, providing the requisite tools at the hands of farmers. Because if you go to some magazine now, a lot more, you can see that they have donkey-drawn carts, they have plows. Of course, we are saying that plows are not good, but they have single plows that do not turn the soil as deep as the plows that the modern plows that we have. And so a lot more of the soil, topsoil could be conserved and you don't lose a lot of moisture. But a lot of all these agricultural equipment, they sparked a lot of these agricultural equipment making simple ones, graters. Don't forget that through the Kwame University of Science and Technology, we could make grinding machines as from magazine, crushers, nut crackers, and other things. After now, the center is there, but now it's suffering from, because at that time was the program was sort of financed by aid. As Ghana moved through the structural adjustment program and out of it in the early 90s, it became a problem. Aid pulled out of the system, and government was not able to sort of maintain the funding that was needed. And we didn't have bring in the private sector to sort of help out, because at that time the private sector was also weak. And so we were not able to bring in the private sector to help out in the sustenance of that model, because the model was to train and have a scheme where artisans could acquire machines and use. And so I think that if it had been maintained, I'm not saying that now they are not doing a lot more of that, but the prospects would have increased. And so it would have perhaps brought down the cost of acquiring agricultural tools. Very simple ones, of course. And we will not be sitting here talking about backbending agriculture and the incentives to which the youth can be enticed with to get into agriculture. But coming back, fast forward from the 90s into the early 2000s, and come the new patriotic party coming into power and introducing the NYEP, which is now is the National Youth Employment Authority. But ostensibly there were different modules in the program. And now, after fast forward from there, after a couple of years after its establishment, around 2006, 2007, we have a youth in agriculture model, which ostensibly is supposedly knows about the issues that youth face, and so wants to change how the youth perceive agriculture. So we want to get as many young people go into agriculture as possible. But this time, they want to provide them an integrated service of doing that. So whether it's being done well is another issue. But the idea is to get them the right inputs through the district assemblies, because they will be closer. You're not limited into Accra or the regionals, so that it becomes very difficult for people to move about. But getting into the district assembly through the district agriculture units, so that they can be provided with seedlings. They register with them. They can be provided with seedlings, high yielding ones, of course, because the issue would have been that research institutions would have been involved, so that they would provide high yielding seedlings, technical extension services. They are not going to be given physical cash, but all the inputs that would enhance their work in agriculture, and also establish a marketing scheme where they can easily could have, like we have the Ghana bulk storage program, where government has a program where it buys from our farmers in bulk, so that in stores, for the rainy season where you release into the market. But the idea is that we provide a ready market for farmers. But here, its implementation is key. The bulk storage program is not everywhere. It started in northern Ghana. It's not being extended extensively into the districts across board. And so we only have 175 of these districts around. So it's not being extended across board. So it becomes a problem as to access and whether the incentive is seen through. The other thing is availability of good roads. Even when you have bulk storage and all of that, feeder roads getting into people's closer to people's farms are not regularly maintained. If you travel around the hinterlands, it becomes problematic. You don't have the sense that these roads are maintained. And dams in the northern region, for instance, in East and Upper regions, maintenance of dams contributes about 40% of ensuring that farming becomes successful, because the dams is because it raised erratically. You need to construct and maintain dams because you need to desal them all the time. It gets flooded during the rainy season. So once they are desalted and maintained, a lot more water will collect, and so they can be used for irrigation farming, especially vegetable. On the Bole Bamboy corridor, for instance, if young people can be incentivized through maintenance of dams or boreholes, or even simple technologies, soccer pumps that can be made available to them through high purchase program. As part of this program, it can be added onto the youth in agriculture model, where in areas where there is no adequate water, especially in the dry season, the youth can be enticed so that they won't move down south. They can be enticed with pumps, maintaining these dams and getting pumps in their hands so that they can pump water and irrigate farms. Get them the seedlings, but most importantly, they can be able to pump water during the dry season and irrigate their farms. Get a lot more vegetables. In the Bole Bamboy corridor, if you're looking for vegetables, especially in the dry season, but even the rainy season, we find that people are not incentivized to go into vegetable production, but people need these vegetables. Kids on the school feeding program, if you look at the food that they're eating, you could see that sometimes it doesn't have vegetables. But what if we create a market for these young people who are getting into agriculture through the school feeding program, so that once they are the school feeding program, the idea is to feed kids and feed them properly, not just to give them some food, but you want to feed them and feed them properly. So there's a market for them, and young people will just produce and sell it to the school feeding program, because that's a ready market. And there the government can achieve this aim of feeding the young people nutritious meals. So that's one of the ways of creating that market. And so young people will have the incentive, because if they are incentivized with technical services and the right inputs, and they have the pumps with which to farm all year round, and they have all year round market which is closer to them through the school feeding program. I think that would be fantastic in terms of getting them staying into it's just one component of it. I'm talking about vegetables in just one component of it. But more importantly, I think that the model that ensured that the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology partnered with artisans of Swan Magazine and elsewhere across Ghana, because they were doing similar things in Tamale and the rest, should be resourced. The ITTUs, the Intermediary Technology Transfer Units, should be resourced with the right equipment, so that training could continue, and we establish a high purchase program that ensures that we have the right technology, the right tools and equipment going out to these artisans, so that they can help us in designing with the university. So the artisans sometimes, when it gets to designing and manufacture and high-end technology, you don't even need high-end technology. But when it gets to designing precision, they lack. So the university can come in with these students, partner with these artisans who are already there doing the stuff anyway, so that they can respond to the market needs. Of course, government can come in and ensure that the tools and equipment that are designed gets to the young people. So here again, a high purchase program to ensure that this program is sustained with the artisans and the university coming in and designing and manufacturing these tools and equipment. That will then be guaranteed within the high purchase program to go into young farmers who will then use them in one, producing the commodities themselves. It could be vegetables, it could be cash crops, and when they are done with it, is it rice? When they don't have the rice, the slashes, the big slashes, and all that, we can create local ones that can be manually powered. You can, if you go to the ITGU at Somalia right now, you will see that now they have Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They are bringing their engineering students to work with local artisans and coming from the University of Science and Technology to design some of these very simple tools, manually powered tools that can be used in dehusking corn and all of these things, so that that back-breaking work is reduced a bit. And so that's one way, and again, entice and ensure that young people stay in agriculture. And so that's if within that loop, if you have that integrated loop of provide that services that are geared towards young people, that are opening up and geared towards getting young people interested first and staying in agriculture, I think that would be good. I think with the unemployment situation now in the country, is one of the ways of getting a lot of people out of poverty, and a lot of ways of getting a lot of people employed. Because most young people, especially when they get out of the university, sometimes are underemployed. But if we have a program like this, and you get a lot more of these young people who are studying agriculture and others who are in the informal artisanal manufacturing, agricultural manufacturing, and the high purchase programs and all of those programs that I talked about. If you have that integrated way of looking at it and managing it well, it has to be decentralized and managed effectively, so that you don't have a situation where it's centralized and managing becomes difficult, and when one partner pulls out, it becomes an issue, as it happened in the past. So going forward, that's what I think can be done.
Thank you. That was very deep in terms of your perception about this issue. What are other prospects in the agricultural field that young people can take advantage of?
I think increasingly conservation agriculture is becoming the way to go in green projects. You know the problem we have with our illegal mining activities, and so most of our streams that serve as a source of drinking water and as serve as source of drinking water for human beings and for animals and for usage in agriculture has been polluted. A lot of these streams have been polluted from north, south, east, and west, and so it becomes a problem. Even for agriculture. If we need to protect our riverbeds and river resources, we need to plant a lot of trees around our river bodies and our streams. We don't just need to plant trees, there should be economic trees. Economic trees that are job creating in themselves. So we need to plant trees whose fruits, leaves, tree barks can be harvested even when the tree is not there. Can be harvested for medicine, for food, and for other uses that are of economic venture. So of economic venture. So if you have a lot more of these such green projects coming in, and also having a conservation agriculture, teaching people about conservation agriculture, I think that's the way to go. So we are protecting our streams and our river bodies and ensuring that we have a good pattern of rainfall. Our streams we preserve biodiversity and ensure that with conservation agriculture we have a lot more of these. We enhance production of agriculture and also enhance the prospects of keeping a lot more of our people in the production and not within the value chain of agriculture, and ensuring that we have a food that's, of course, we need the food in our country and some to export as well. I think first and foremost is the mindset. And I think for your organization, the Agro mindset, you are doing a fantastic job, because the mindset, you know that a lot of people go and study agriculture at the university, they are agricultural engineers and other fields in agriculture, and they come out and they are sitting in the banks. And the banks are not even supporting agricultural projects. So what are you sitting there for? You're sitting there learning new things that are not related to what you studied in school. Some people get into agricultural field in the faculty to study agriculture just because they didn't get other courses to do. But with what you guys are doing with respect to conscientizing people, even at the senior high school level, before they choose the courses that they will do or the program they will do or pursue at the university, is very important, because out there they need to be conscientized to think of agriculture differently. Agriculture as a new paradigm shift in terms of how we create jobs, how we conserve our environment, and how we ensure that we have food security going forward, especially with climate change on issues dangling around our necks. We need to ensure that we have people who are going in with a passion for the field, so that when they come out of the system, they'll be able to contribute effectively. But increasingly, we need to have a lot more of government services and programs of agriculture decentralized to a district level. And I mean all of them. And resources that are pushed to people who are supposed to implement these programs at the district level. So that when you go there, they don't tell you to go to Accra or go to Kumasi or any of the big cities to access the services, even when they've been decentralized to the local level. So we need a lot more of that. Government incentives, we need a lot more partnerships with academic institutions and the private sector and government to ensure that we know what we should know what is expected of academic institutions in terms of varying the curriculum to suit what is in the field. What is it that in the field? What is in the field that what is needed? What is government policy doing about the challenges, as we talked about earlier in the interview, concerning inputs, concerning improving the value chain, concerning marketing services, concerning technical services. So what is government policy doing about it? What is the private sector thinking about in terms of investment, in terms of the production areas where they would like to go in there, and in terms of how we improve the sector? What is their thinking behind it? So that the academia can train people who with specific skill sets that will man the areas and also bring about change, knowing very well that they will be supported in addressing the challenges that we've outlined.
What is the role of the Kumasi Center for Lifelong Learning in terms of with respect to this kind of issue in agriculture? What is your role? Have you identified opportunities in this area or a role to play or challenges that you're facing with?
Yeah, thank you. At Kumasi Center, as you know, there are three co-founders. We all work. I work directly in some magazine. One of our co-founders also did the same, but the other worked partly with us in terms of implementing projects as one magazine. So we know about agricultural implements that are being manufactured as one magazine, and how farmers also come there. They sickle, the whole nut crushers, the grinding machines, the horse-drawn, the donkey-drawn carts and plows, and a lot more of these tools and equipment that are being cutlasses, the hoe, those other things, and planters. We had a technology fair, and somebody brought in a maize planter. You don't have to bend, so it just collects. It has a manually operated handle that will pick. You just operate it at the rear, and it just picks the seeds, and you can just leave it in the hole, and you just step on it. So you don't have a lot of issues to deal with your back in terms of the way we do it with the hole going down or with the cutlass going down and sort of planting. And so working with them, we saw that with the right skills and exposure, and also introducing them to entrepreneurship, and doing a policy advocacy on that part, we could do massive work. So what we've done is we set up Kumasi Center for Lifelong Learning, basically prioritizing the informal sector in the area of skills development, entrepreneurship, and policy advocacy. And what we are doing is trying to get training out there to our artisans who are focused on farming and deals with farming, and are providing the tools for farmers to work with. However, the quality level. So what we do is, if we can bring in the College of Engineering, for instance, to partner with these, through the Technology Consultancy Center and the ITTU, we can consistently improve on the tools and equipment that the farmers are using. So we can sit the farmers down, sit the artisans down, and also through working with the ITTU of Commonwealth University of Science and Technology, we can find out how we can improve on these tools, how we can make them more simpler, so that when they go to the villages, they can easily repair them. Some of the parts can be mechanical, but they can easily be repaired, so they don't have to bring it all the way back to some magazine, or they don't send somebody because it becomes expensive. You have to send somebody all the way to their villages to get them repaired. And so, and together with other partners, we want to enhance the value chain in terms of the equipment, at that equipment side, and in terms of entrepreneurship, coming in, organizing farmers and giving them entrepreneurship, opening up the space to them in terms of the value chain, in terms of marketing, and using entrepreneurship as the bedrock of getting them to appreciate the area of agribusiness, and get them to understand that agriculture these days is a business, and want to also be part of Agro mindsets, philosophy of conscientizing the young people to think of agriculture differently and explore means of accessing already the policy framework that is there, and the initiatives that have been set up already by the government, and also creating our own space within which we can innovate and support the initiatives of government and other private sector entities, and partner with other private sector entities as well. It's very important that we partner with private sector entities to ensure that we scale up on our initiatives. One of which is a partnership that we're pursuing with Agro Mindset organization to sort of get young students and their faculty involved with the artisanal engineers, so that they can transform and make simpler. I insist on simpler because most of the 90% of our the 70% of our population that is engaged in agriculture are rural, and over there there's a problem of skills, and so you don't make it complex so it becomes difficult when it has to deal with maintenance and all of that. And so we want to be able to work on a project like that to make it simpler, and also going forward look at how we bring in entrepreneurship to bear to the farmers. The young people, we are introducing them to farming, and those young people who are already there in the farming itself, and create the space, work with partners to ensure that they get access to funding, and they get access to the services, the technical services, the tools with which to work, and then the marketing space with which to get their produce to the market, and be incentivized to work year in and year out on their farms. Well, I think that the gaps will be like studying agriculture in senior secondary school or senior high school, and the school doesn't have a garden. You know, in most places, in most schools, the schools do not have farms, they don't have gardens, so people are not able to test their knowledge. Sometimes if they are not properly maintained. So the young people who are studying agriculture as part of their curriculum are not able to go into the field and test their knowledge and sort of appreciate some of the new methods that we're talking about right now, and some of the things that can be done on the field. So once they appreciate it and develop a passion at that level, at the university where there's a semblance of farms and also field work, they would have built their passion already. So they will come in and when they choose agriculture, when they've been conscientized to see agriculture as a new paradigm in the framework where we are discussing that now, They will go into the universities and be conscientized, go into agriculture, knowing very well that they develop a passion and they know what they are coming out to do. It's very important that they know what they are coming out to do. They know what industry is looking for. They know that agro processing industries are being set up, or that's the way to go, or the value chain has been expanded. So you don't. The issue is not just about the production side, but it's about processing, but it's about marketing, but it's about getting inputs out there. It's about research. So all these areas are there for the taking, so that they can improve their knowledge, improve their skills, and move in there. So I think that those are the gaps that are lacking in terms of developing a passion, having the field to go into and develop that passion and develop your knowledge further in terms of going into the field and getting practical knowledge, and then moving on and developing that passion further in the technical colleges and also the agricultural colleges and the other tertiary institutions, including the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where we acknowledge their presence in terms of using the ITTU as a transformation in the summer magazine. So we want them to continue. We want the gaps to be filled. We want their if we go to the universities, we want the technical areas to be retooled. The technical facilities and their farms and their colleges to be retooled and with the right equipment and with students who have developed a passion for some time, who are not just there in transition to go into other areas, but they are there studying agriculture at the College of Engineering or the College of Faculty of Agriculture, ostensibly because they want to be in agriculture, not just they want to transition to other places. We need to at first help change their mindsets. I think that's the bedrock. Help change their mindsets and use examples of young people who have made it. Let them see through pictures, through documentaries, through write-ups. Let them know about young people who are in there and have benefited. Let them know about policies that are being implemented by government that are also helping other young people who have assessed those policies and are doing well in their fields. We need to showcase those people as as means of changing their perception about the whole industry. But I think that you need to start not at the university. You need to start at the senior high school and junior high schools, so that we introduce such people to them. That look, these are your young people who are in agriculture. Look at them. This is what they are doing. This is where they started. Very important, because you don't have to create an impression that it's all rosy. You start and work hard, but there are other collaborators that you can, and partners that you can help. There are other areas where you can draw on benefits and all of that. So I think the bedrock is changing their mindset first, and all other things that we talked about before. That's a difficult question though. I've not been a minister before, and I've not seen the terms of reference given to the Minister of Agric. So I'm doing this based on my own experience, and I just want to put a disclaimer out there. And so, if I were the Minister of Agric, as we say, our policy implementation and gathering of information and especially from the districts, agricultural stations and offices and all of that. So I think that I will make sure that I decentralize my vision concerning integrated agriculture more, or conservation agriculture and integrated agriculture. But I also bring in the concept of endogenous development, so that every policy would appreciate the cultural sensibilities of the people within a certain area. There's a culture they built around the way they do their farming. So we need to bring that in. We can refine it. Culture evolves. So we can refine it, but the core of the culture should be there. So that we build the conservation agriculture around their culture. They easily accept it and can run with it. And so the concept of integrated agriculture, or bringing in technical services, or bringing in the right tools and equipment, involving the informal sector, academia, of ensuring that inputs are really available, And I think that now some semblance of the policy is being implemented. But most importantly, we build the capacity of our district implementation officers at that level, and bring in private sector actors, and bring in young people like those who have set up Agro mindset, those who have set up farmer line, those who have set Agro mindset, changing the mindset of young people in agriculture, farmer line, sort of trying to get extension services to farmers on their mobile phones and through voice and text. And so you bring in other people like Voto, that is consolidating all of this information and giving it on a platform, on a mobile platform, that farmers can easily make decisions in terms of extension services, when to plant, when to start planting, the type of planting to be done, management of their farms. So all of these consolidation, we'll put the ministry at the central base where things revolve around it. But most importantly, we decentralize and build the capacity of our people at the grassroots, so that they can collaborate at the grassroots more with these partners I'm talking about, and young people at that grassroots, and be able to implement the policy. We don't need extraordinary and bigger policies. Of course, they feel that in the past, but simple and pragmatic. Young people in Ghana now know about the problems. Some of them have established companies that are giving out information and also building a network that is also trying to address the challenges. I'll identify such young people, give them the right resources that they need, set them down, give them the right resources they need, encourage them to go to the district level and also the rural areas, and give them the support, working with our district agricultural units at the district assemblies, and getting them the resources with which to work. And I think that's what is on my mind. That's what I think I'll be doing if I were in the position to be a Minister of Agriculture. Well, I'm not sure if there's any such policy out there. If it is, I think that it is good. Merging entrepreneurship and youth in agriculture. I know that there's youth in agriculture. I don't know whether there's the entrepreneurship bit is a part of it. But if it is, it's good. It encompasses all that we are saying. Because you change the mindset of people. You encourage young people to develop new ideas, develop innovation around agriculture. So you don't just bring in people who are into agriculture, but different facets, business people, researchers, and all of these people to also encourage the process to be efficient, and get young people, especially young people who are going to agriculture, to appreciate the value of entrepreneurship, the value of seeing the agriculture as a business, and looking at the value chain and find out where they fit. Production, technical services, marketing, and input provision and all of that, and like, what do they fit? They need to recognize their niche and fit in there. And so if there's a policy out there like this, I think they should address those issues. But I know that there's a policy on youth in agriculture program. If there's the entrepreneurship aspect of it, that's good. So we need to open up and get a lot more young people out there. But the entrepreneurship should not just be limited to the young people who we are encouraging to go in, but also other young people who have established servicing companies that are providing these technical services, bringing in technical services, and bringing in inputs, finance. I know of microfinance groups that are going into supporting agriculture. Bring all these people on board around this policy and ensuring that young people benefit. That would be more efficient.